been a couple months since I made a video. Kind of got out of it a little bit because I was upset about some backlash that I received from some family members on my mother's side that I really didn't expect anything but that from them. But I feel the need to now, I have for a long time. I sleep better at night when I do them. And I haven't slept for the past few days now. So, people like my mom or my dad want to talk about how I should get over things and stop living in the past. And they like to portray some story as if I'm some bitter person that is just stuck and can't move on. My life is actually, for the most part, pretty forward moving. I've achieved a lot of things that I said I would. I hold multiple degrees, pursuing even more degrees to achieve my dreams. I have a dream of having a self-sustaining farm that is open to survivors of TTI trauma and veterans as a place for them to come to and receive healing and care at no cost to them. Because had my parents actually got me real care for the thousands of dollars, the tens of thousands of dollars they spent, maybe I'd be a different person today. Maybe I would be mourning the fact that my dad is dying. But I'm not. I live with memories of my mother coming in to kiss me goodnight as she's leaving to go out, her hair done and her makeup done, and I'm taking all of my stuffed animals and arranging them around my body. And she asks me why, and I tell her it's to protect me from the monster that comes at night. She laughs and says, "There's no such things as monsters." And I very solemnly tell her, yes, there are. They come into my bed at night and they hurt me. And she just laughed and said that I was being silly. No, stupid. That I was being stupid. There's no such thing as monsters. My bedroom door, when I was growing up, hung crooked. The metal that covered the door latch scraped with the metal of the knob, always. And it wasn't until I was about 5 or 6 years old that I was big enough and tall enough to push the door and open it without it scraping. I can still hear the sound of it scraping in my dreams. At night, opening. I remember always being in the bath with Butch, turning and facing the wall so that he could clean me, and it hurting. I was about 4, maybe 5. I I always remembered that memory. I remembered it because of what he said. At the end, he said it was time to wash the cum off. And I asked him, "Uncle Butch, what's cum?" And he says, "Oh, it's the white bubbles left all over after we're done with bubble baths." And I was like, "Oh, cum is bubbles." I remember learning later as a teenager what cum was. It's not bubbles. It's not the bubbles left over after a bath. Shared about that memory in group when I was in Tranquility Bay, when I was on upper levels. It's the first time I talked about it. My family, my case mother, Miss Cheryl Smith, came back the next week, or the next day, I'm sorry, and told me that she had spoken to my mother and my father about what I had said, and my father didn't believe me. She said my mother did. But then I spoke to my mother next week on my call, and my mother started berating me about how basically I was such a shitty person that my father didn't believe such a terrible thing had happened to me, and what did I think about that? I lost my shit. I started crying and cursing. I got dropped down to level 2. Major infractions for cursing at my mother. I was devastated. I remember being about 14 and going to visit my father one summer, and me and my best friend Jody that I've grown up with going to the beach with my father. Me in a neon orange flower bikini, her in a blue bikini. I'd brought a camera with me on the visit, one of those point and shoot disposable ones. When I left, my father had gotten the pictures developed, and he handed it to me before I was getting on the plane and said, "Here, I developed the pictures on your camera for you." As I was going through the pictures, there was one that jumped out to me, one that I don't remember being the subject of. A candid shot of me holding up my hair, the lines of my developed body looking very sensual. It's a picture many ex-boyfriends have seen of me throughout the years, and they're like, "Holy shit, that's what you looked like at 14? Because I didn't look like a 14-year-old. The picture turned my stomach, and I noticed in the receipt of the printout that there were 2 copies made of those pictures, of all the pictures, but only one set that I went home with. I remember going to live with my father when I was 16 because my mother had found out that I had lost my virginity to a 25-year-old man at 15. I had been groomed by a man named Bobby Kellums. I thought it was love. My mother sent me away. To live with my father in Florida. Maybe about a month or so before I finally ran away from home. My father was standing in the living room in his underwear and nothing else. And he asked me to come give him a hug. And I was dressed. I had on jeans and a little handkerchief top and a white long-sleeved men's button-down shirt, It was kind of my style for a while. Tiny tops under baggy tees and baggy pants. It was the 90s. And I remember him asking me to come give him a hug and me wrapping my arms around him and kind of giving him a hug. And my dad's really tall. He's about 6'4", 6'5" in shoes. And I'm very short, 5'3". My chest was pressed up against his torso, and his crotch was against my stomach. And I remember feeling movement against my stomach from his penis. As he helped die. I pulled myself out of the hug and I went into my bathroom right off of my bedroom and threw up. Because my father was getting an erection while he was holding me. I remember being in my 20s and dating Scott Nesman. And him wanting to try anal sex. I never had before. I remember when he was getting ready to try to insert his penis into my butt. I still don't know what it was that I saw. I heard screams in my head. Little girl screams. I felt pain rip through my body. And Scott hadn't even tried to penetrate me yet. The next thing I knew, I was curled up in a corner on the bed up against the wall, screaming, "Don't touch me. Don't fucking touch me." And he was freaking out because he thought he'd hurt me. I was just screaming at him, "Just get away from me. Don't fucking touch me." And then that's when the dream started. Dreams of being a woman. With my father. I I always wake up from them just with the most disgusting feelings. And even like, even the thought makes me nauseous still. And now he's dying. And I'm happy. Because I'm pretty sure that the monster is dying. Because those are the memories that I live with. Those are the memories that I'm supposed to just get over.